Okay, so let's do part two, which is the seeing is believing element of this two-parter. So again, test, make sure I get the name right. Test engine, I want to say test studio, is experimental. So again, not for production use, may get canned, although highly unlikely. But again, that's just in my opinion. So we're in PowerShell. You're going to want to ensure that you are in your SRC Power Apps Test Engine local directory cut or clone of that repository. And we would do .NET space run. We can see the above one failed. However, we have made it quite a way because at this point you may get issues because you haven't sufficiently run the playwright.ps1 PowerShell script. You haven't defined suitable PowerShell environment variables for the test plan where it references the persona name. So in ours, we've just left it with the default username one, I believe it was, or user email one. And then we're getting this failure at the moment because it's still got MFA enabled. And I think it's going to take a while for it to register. Not only have I disabled MFA, but I've had to turn off the security defaults as well because that can be a constant blocker for disabling MFA. But obviously, I'm only happy to do that because it's a test environment. And I don't want to create a whole new account, but I will if I have to. So now this I really appreciated. So again, it's going to say it may be beneficial to view the output recording. Oh, I get a recording of this. Yes, please. So I'm going to come in here. As you can see, I've run this many times. So I'm just going to find the one with the latest date time stamp. So 8:28, 8:30, 8:34. Let's go for you. Click into the folder and I'm going to run the video. Apologies if this doesn't play, but I'm hoping it will. So here you can see, we know that it's definitely using the username that we wanted. We can see that it's specifying the password, but we're hitting the MFA issue. And then all it basically does is just get stuck here, which is why it can't handle MFA at the moment because it's doing it behind the scenes. And then it ultimately times out. So whilst we're here, I'll try and keep this video short and sweet as possible. I'm just going to walk through some of the other configuration areas. So before we referenced the, let's see, so going to SRC, Power Apps Test Engine. So here we created our config.dev.json. Don't think I've got anything to. So here, this is where we put in our environment ID, tenant ID, test plan file. Again, we need the forward slashes. We can do the double dots to denote preceding directories. In terms of the test plan file itself, if we come back to samples and basic gallery, so this is where we had our solution file. Here you'll notice that we've got our test plan.fx.yaml file. If we click into here, you'll notice, amongst other information, that we have our email key user1 email and password key user1 password. So I believe user1, the persona name is more vanity, but when you get to the email one key and the password key, I believe it's vital that the environment variables that you specify as per this documentation here marries up. So there is a user1 email environment variable that houses the email address or the EPN, and the password key user1 password that has the password. So I'm just going to do it one more time as if by some kind of miracle something's changed within the last 30 seconds, although I doubt it. And just while I'm thinking about it, some really cool things I want to call out with regards to what you can ultimately do with the test engine is that, again, it's decreasing that barrier, that entry barrier. So it's okay, I've followed through all of this. I'm not a true code developer, but I can walk through instructions like this. And not only that, I can do a GUI way via the test studio of creating my test scripts or test plan. I can download the suite as per this, and then I can make use of that and feed it into the test engine. Another really cool thing about this, presuming it all goes ahead and it gets set in stone and it'll only get better in time, is the idea of mock connectors. So you might have situations where you don't want to, as part of the test, you want to mimic as if you've done something that you might use with a connector with an API that might actually place data somewhere. But for the purpose of your test, you can have a mock connector that's going to go through the motion so it successfully completes the test and mimics it, rather than just have to cut yourself short and go, well, I'm not going to be able to test that until the day, which isn't, no one wants to be in that situation. So definitely, I'll put the documentation to the GitHub repository and the Microsoft article, which highlights this new feature. If I just quickly show it, no, I won't because I can't find it, but I'll put it in the video, and that highlights some of the key things that are coming along. But again, experimental, but even if it's not in this guise, the testing capabilities are only going to get better and make our lives easier and enable us to create better products, or at least better tested products before it gets into the hands of users. Okay, thank you for watching.